Flavio was publicly humiliated and he's being used. That's what happened. That's why he chose Alfredo Gaspar, in my view. Who is Alfredo Gaspar, Andrea? Alfredo Gaspar, federal lawmaker, the one who was the rapporteur of the CPI, of the INSS fraud. Do you remember? Yeah, the one who wrote the report, and his report of more than 4,000 pages was rejected by the entire committee, by the entire CPI, by almost everyone, practically. His report wasn't even accepted, it wasn't approved, that's how bad it was. Yeah, let's take a look here so you can remember, my dear, and I'll explain all of this to you. Go ahead and smash that like button, and let's keep it moving. Alfredo Gaspar, he was so bad, really so bad. He was the rapporteur for the parliamentary inquiry into the Social Security fraud there in Congress, that he drafted a report of more than 4,000 pages. 4,000 pages. And the committee there, mostly Bolsonaro supporters, 19. The majority rejected his report. 19-12. Not even his report make it through the Social Security fraud inquiry. Why, Andre? Because he was trying to criminalize whom? It had nothing to do with the INSS fraud. And he was shielding a group of Bolsonaro supporters and businessmen connected to the Bolsonaro family who, from all indications, were involved. And he simply ignored it and didn't include these people in the INSS fraud CPI's indictment recommendations. So much so that by 19 votes to 12, the committee, which had a Bolsonaro majority and their people there, they rejected his report because it was so bad. That's it. But let's see what he said yesterday. Because yesterday he announced there in Alagoas that he was a candidate for the federal Senate. Today he is a federal deputy for the PL. And he announced yesterday in Alagoas that he was a candidate for the federal Senate. Let's watch what he said here and try to understand what changed, what happened that made this guy change his mind. I think I closed the video. I closed the video. Oh my God, I closed the video. I closed the video. Oh my God, let me see if I can find the video here. But yesterday, I'll put it like this. Just type it in Google, Alfredo. I'll put it here. Alfredo Gaspar, candidate for the Senate. Here, look here. Here, look. PL announced a federal deputy. This was just now, so it's not this one. That was from yesterday. I didn't find it. But yesterday, Alfredo announced that he was running for Senate in Alagoas. Let's see if it shows up here. 5 p.m. I found it. It takes a while, but we'll find it. Wait. Let me close these things here. Is the commercial playing? But I'm going to show you the video now from yesterday of Alfredo Gaspar announcing his candidacy as a senator for the federal Senate. Let's watch it here together. Here it is, the convention. He gave an interview after, and I found it. Look, yesterday, what day was that, Andre? Yesterday. Pay attention to what he said here.
I want to do more for Brazil in some ways. Today, the Senate is where we need people with courage. Courage to face it. Courage to face the system. Courage to fight for the people of Alagoas and for the people of Brazil. What is happening in the nation is not acceptable. I have a life of work and service dedicated to the state of Alagoas. And now in the Senate,
I will be able to face this corrupt system.
Done. This was yesterday. There was a convention in Alagoas. He gave a speech and so on. And then he gave an interview. Yesterday, he announced that he would run for the Senate for Alagoas. And now, look here. He's no longer a candidate for the Senate. They say he's now running as Flavio Bolsonaro's running mate. There's a big scheme behind all of this. Look here, yeah.
Come, I will be very honored to be here around the brands. Thank you, thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Where is the king? Thank you.
Not with this stalling.
President Flavio, first allow me to thank God for this great honor. He brought me here. Your Excellency chose a simple person from the Northeast.
All right. So then you say, Andre, what's going on? These people say one thing one day, and the next day they say something else. There's a situation here where Flavio Bolsonaro had no way out. Because Flavio Bolsonaro, he wanted someone from another party. Because if he had someone from another party, it would bring in more money for his campaign, and most importantly, it would increase the TV time for his campaign. But he couldn't do it. All the parties backed out. Republicanos backed out, Podemos, Novo, União Brasil, Progressistas, they all backed out. Who did Flavio Bolsonaro get? Who did he have to accept whether he liked it or not? Because he wanted a woman from another party. He couldn't get one. And he had women from his own party, from PL, since he didn't have another option. From PL, he also had other options. Notably, his dream candidate from then on was Michelle. Michelle didn't even go to the convention because she was afraid of being cornered into saying she was his running mate. He couldn't get a woman, so he picked Alfredo. Why? Because the Centrão came and pulled the strings. What? Yeah. Flavio was humiliated and is being used. By whom? By Arthur Lira. Juror Flavio accepted, thank you. And then exactly that, along with União Brasil. Here's what happened. Yesterday I showed you that Alfredo launched his candidacy for the Senate. From where? From Alagoas. And who would Alfredo be the biggest competitor against in Alagoas for the Senate? Arthur Lira. Because Arthur Lira has also already launched his candidacy for the Senate for Alagoas. And Alfredo would take votes from the right. From whom? From Arthur Lira. Are you getting the message, my dear? Flavio had to accept Alfredo whether he liked it or not. So he would leave the scene out of Arthur Lira's way and make him his running mate. And so very likely Arthur Lira and the Centrão will work behind the scenes, giving covert support to Flavio. At least that's what's happening. But Flavio didn't have a choice, and Flavio is being used and will be discarded by the Centrão. That's what's happening. My dears, did you get the message? Did you get it? Got it? Did you get it, technician? Did you deliver the message while painting? He could have gotten a woman from the PL party. There are a lot of them there who want it, except Michelle. And he didn't choose a single woman. He went and put Alfredo, who would take votes for the Senate, away from Arthur Lira. So I ask you, is Arthur Lira behind this or not? No, maybe I'm the crazy one. Maybe I'm just seeing too much. Do you think there's anyone innocent in this story? No. Flavio took what was left and what was forced on him. Flavio, take this. You're already screwed in every possible way, so take this. Yeah, that's what happened. Now, we can't forget who Alfredo is. The federal police asks the Supreme Court to investigate the rapporteur of the parliamentary inquiry into the INSS over a rape accusation. And do you remember this here? Do you remember? You don't remember? Let's remember together then. Something suspicious happened there to a 12-year-old girl who, according to her mother's age, she had this child, she was underage, and there was a suspicion that the father was or is Alfredo Gaspar. Given this situation, Senator Soraya Tronic and Federal Deputy Lindenberg Farias then filed a criminal complaint with the Prosecutor General's Office and the Federal Supreme Court to investigate this. You might ask me, Andre, so how is that going? I don't know. Why? Because there's a minor involved. And when there's a minor involved, everything is confidential, very confidential. So we don't know how this situation turned out. Look, Gaspar said he wasn't the father, that the father was his cousin. And what does that mean, Andre? Rape of a vulnerable person, rape of a minor. He had sexual relations with a minor under 14 years old, around 12, 13 years old. That's rape of a vulnerable person. Then Alfredo Gaspar said that he provided genetic material for the tests. And he said that he wasn't the father, that the father was his cousin. And from then on, everything remained confidential, and we don't know anything else. I believe that if there is any deliberation, pay attention to what I'm going to say to you here, because this is important. I believe that if there is any court or public prosecutor's office decision clearing Gaspar, he has to be the first one to post about it on social media. Am I right or not? Yes. I checked his social media and found nothing. I'm not saying he committed the crime. I'm not saying he's the father. I'm saying that this situation exists and that we haven't had access to its resolution, to its conclusion. Most likely because the whole situation is still ongoing. And I don't know how it's going to turn out. So this is one of the situations regarding Alfredo Gaspar. All right? Well, here it is. This was the convention event. Alfredo Gaspar officially announces his candidacy for the Senate for the Liberal Party and says that alliances will be defined by August 15th. He did this and said he was going to run for the Senate yesterday, there in Alagoas. And today he already positions himself as the running mate. In fact, Flavio Bolsonaro is putting him forward as his running mate. And the big beneficiary of all this, or who benefits directly? Arthur Lira. Lira. Gaspar being chosen as Flavio Bolsonaro's running mate helps Lira in Alagoas. The PL congressman was a direct competitor of the former Speaker of the House in the race for the Senate, and Flavio was left with what remained. And he had to swallow it, like it or not, being humiliated and used by Arthur Lira and the Centrão bloc. Obviously, they could have said, no, we're going to support you, whatever, because Arthur Lira's party, what did they declare? The PL, no, not the PL, the PP, União Brasil, Republicanos, Podemos, what did they all declare? Neutrality. That they will not support directly. Not even Flavio, not even Lula. So, that's the situation we're facing with everything. All of this. I know that Flavio comes out as the big loser because he couldn't even get a woman as his running mate. Because he wanted a woman exactly to try to get support from women. Because we all know that the majority of voters in Brazil are women. Women today are the majority of voters in Brazil. And Flavio, from the beginning, tried to put a woman forward. Teresa Cristina from Republicanos, who was Bolsonaro's former Minister of Agriculture. He tried to put another one there, the one from the PP, right? Teresa from Republicanos, the other one who was the president of Caixa Econômica Federal in Bolsonaro's government. He tried a bunch of women. Even Michelle, I heard that he begged her, for God's sake, in the end, to go. Michelle said she wouldn't go. That she wouldn't go. Because only someone from the same party as Flavio, which is the PL, could go, since nobody from the other parties wanted to. And he couldn't put a woman in. And he had to accept Alfredo Gaspar whether he liked it or not. Who, in my view, doesn't add anything. It doesn't increase TV time. It doesn't bring in more money. And there are still situations that will be exploited negatively. So he ends up losing, and he didn't have another option. Let's see how it turns out, right, guys? And meanwhile, put it up there, Lula Tetra. And did you guys notice how awkward Flavio was? Flavio can't even hide it anymore. He can't even hide it anymore. Bye. What do I think? And that's not even the half of it. Flavio Bolsonaro shares proposals that benefit Trump. Petrolífera, oil companies, the super rich, and ultra-processed food industries. Flavio Bolsonaro laid out a government platform there with some measures he announced, which only benefits the elite. It only benefits the oligarchy. That's it, nothing more. He is clearly Donald Trump's candidate, and he only benefits Brazil's oligarchy. Workers, to hell with them. Retirees and pensioners, to hell with them. The poorest, to hell with them. He is openly the candidate of Brazil's elite and foreign interests of Donald Trump as a bootlicker, lackey, and lapdog of the United States. This is becoming very clear. And he presented proposals that make this even clearer. Only those who don't want to see reality can't see it. Meanwhile, the master case, the links between Borcaro and the accountant who paid $500,000 to Flavio Bolsonaro. Rogério Lourenço Novo has connections with the Borlinghe family, who control Ambipar, a company under investigation in Operation Cúmplices Zero. In other words, all those who in some way are friends, colleagues, or have connections with Flavio Bolsonaro. Not all, but many who are appearing in investigations of INSS fraud involving Daniel Vocaro, from the mafia that exists in Rio de Janeiro, including from Cúmplices Zero, which is the issue of the corruption tied to Faria Lima. Many of those showing up there have direct ties to Flavio Bolsonaro. Flavio Bolsonaro is keeping some really bad company, huh, guys? Some people say it's written in the Bible. Tell me who you hang out with, and I'll tell you who you are. My goodness, that's not written in the Bible, guys. Right, Andre? No, it's not. My grandmother used to say, my daughter, tell me who you hang out with, and I'll tell you who you are. Did your grandmother say that too? Does she say that too? Well, that's a popular saying. And Flavio, if he's the company he keeps, he's in a bad place. Even Congressman Bulos talked a little bit about this perspective here, which is important for us to explore. Take a look at what Bulos said.
Many people claim they have bad luck in relationships. Now, when it comes to bad luck with friendships, no one in Brazil beats Flavio Bolsonaro. It's one criminal friend after another. Now, there's another one, but let's start with the most famous. Fabricio Queiroz was Flavio's best buddy, who paid his personal bills in cash that came from the salary kickback scheme. There was also, from way back, Adriano da Nóbrega, Flavio's friend, a former captain and leader of the militia group known as the Crime Office in Rio de Janeiro. Adriano da Nóbrega, accused of assassinating Marielle Franco, had his mother and wife employed by Flavio Bolsonaro, who honored him multiple times. But after Adriano became a fugitive and his militia ties were revealed, Flavio remarked, "Come on, who doesn't have a friend who went down the wrong path?" He was a militia leader, Flavio.
We also have to mention
That buddy who's good for lending a little money. To make a movie, a few little things. In Flavio's case, it's more than a friend. He's a brother, and it's not just a little money. It was 140 million raised, but as soon as it became public, Forcaro went from being a brother to a distant acquaintance. Now, folks, it's Willard Tomas's turn. Flavio took pictures with him, traveled with him, even publicly called him my friend during a Senate hearing, and now Willard Tomas is the target of the federal police in the National Social Security Institute embezzlement case. We'll have to see how long this friendship will last. But looking at all these close friendships Flavio Bolsonaro has, it makes you wonder if it's just bad luck with friends or if there's a lot more to this story. I've seen a lot of people like that.
Do you think my grandmother was right? What do you think? Rogério Correa also talked about this here, and it's important for us to share it. Take a look.
Did you see that this guy named Willard Tomas just came into the picture and now they've done a search and seizure at his house? Is this Willard Tomas a friend of Flavio Bolsonaro? That's right. I've been talking about this already. He has close ties to Flavio Bolsonaro. Have they ever traveled together by plane? You can Google it and you'll see who Willard Tomas is and his connection with Flavio Bolsonaro. But there are some things I need to tell you. He's kind of a partner. Actually, he's a partner of Flavio Bolsonaro, and later we'll prove it. And in this partnership, one of the things they managed to do together was take Richarlis's house. Do you remember that story? I've already told you about it. And Richarlis had a mansion, and suddenly the mansion became Flavio Bolsonaro's. Willard Tomas actually is the one who ended up with that mansion. He was the lawyer who managed that strange feat of stealing other people's mansion. But Willard Tomas, besides these ties of friendship, he recommended a lady named Leticia, who coordinates Flavio Bolsonaro's office. We found this out during the INSS parliamentary inquiry. And she is the sister of Careca's accountant. And now, this is where Careca do INSS comes back into the picture, connected with Leticia and Leticia's brother and with Flavio Bolsonaro's office. Flavio Bolsonaro is going to be involved in another scandal again. And then the question remains, where's the explanation for the 61 million Flavio Bolsonaro that Forcaro sent to you, basically to your brother and his lawyer, to the minister? Everything leads to Flavio Bolsonaro. It's Forcaro, Bolsonaro, and other strange rhymes that show up in these accusations.
Yeah, and this is having an effect, right, guys? This is having an effect, even among the Bolsonaro supporters. What effect, Andrea? The number of former Bolsonaro supporters is growing. Many Bolsonaro supporters are saying they won't support Flavio Bolsonaro because Flavio doesn't explain anything, and that they won't cover up for a corrupt person. And the far right is in a panic and in total conflict. Far right against far right, it's all right wing, okay? The split is complete, total chaos. Exactly because Flavio doesn't account for it and doesn't explain anything. And every time Flavio is asked about his relationship with Daniel Forcaro, about the money that went to the movie, which they still haven't accounted for, Flavio just goes and says, oh, but what about Lulinha? Oh, but what about the INSS? Oh, whatever, blah, blah, blah. In other words, he avoids the questions and doesn't explain anything. And a lot of Bolsonaro supporters are not liking this attitude. There was even a podcast where there were only Bolsonaro supporters there. And all hell broke loose on that podcast. Because among those who were there, some of the people there were saying the following: that they weren't going to support Flavio Bolsonaro because he wasn't explaining anything. He was avoiding the debate, just like he did on Antagonista, which I showed you this morning. And that he wasn't explaining anything, and that he wasn't going to cover up for criminals. Then there was that lawyer, Chiquinho, the one who tried to make a name for himself off Alexandre de Moraes at the trial, and Alexandre de Moraes put him in his place. Well, that's when things got heated. I'm going to show you this so you can see for yourself that they're at war with each other. Why, Andre? Because it's really hard to be a Bolsonaro supporter these days. Because I'm going to be a dumb Bolsonaro supporter? Or you're a former Bolsonaro supporter? Because many Bolsonaro supporters became like that, saying they don't accept corruption, they're anti-corruption, and so on and so forth. And now, with this whole situation, or was corruption never really your true fight? Because if your real and true fight has always been against corruption, will you vote for Bolsonaro's most corrupt son? If you vote for Flavio, that's what it seems. Let's see the showdown here on this podcast that only had Bolsonaro supporters. I want to put out the fire with gasoline. What about you? Let the place catch fire. Look here, pay attention.
Chiquinho, get ready to hit. Not Renan. I think it was Renan. Try to be president of...
Wait, no, that's impossible.
Damn,
It's
how is this
Sagero,
possible?
damn it. Renan.
Defend Renan!
Does he have hair? Mess it up. But you can't dress well, so you won't be discredited. Be careful. How can he dress so badly if his mom folds and irons his clothes, Jeffrey? You can't discredit him. He voted and started a party for a politician. In 10 years, you'll be here at the show. Let's watch Mistura na Tarde, my brother.
In 12 years, everyone will be crying because he connects with the youth.
What's happening is that someone is taking over the votes and Flavio Bolsonaro's place, and everyone is in a panic. Woohoo! Cheers, Brazil! Manly men, women, who? That Reynaldo Santos guy from MBL, from the old MBL, which is now the Missão. He's taking the lead in this all-out fight, fighting corruption, theft. If you steal a cell phone, you have to die. That's what he's saying. The Bolsonaro supporters are siding with him and abandoning Flavio. That's when the real fight starts. That's exactly what happened, because some people here said, look, you're underestimating Renan, but Renan is rising in the polls. And what about Flavio? That's the question. And what about Flavio? Let's see here.
Let's continue. There's only one guy in Brazil who does the same, and he's their main enemy, Nicholas. My brother, we need to face reality. Missão/MBL is a movement like any collective outcry. No, Jeffrey, this is serious. Like every collective outcry, the kids are fed up with politics. It reminds me a little of what happened in 2013. That's what I'm saying. We really need this. That's what I mean. When you look at this voting trend, I don't know what percentage he's at in the latest polls, but it doesn't matter. The percentage is the least important thing. The fact is that the way MBL, Renan himself, etc., have positioned themselves in the electoral debate is very similar to what society wanted in 2013. Who is Chiquinho? Is Chiquinho there to go against Renan? Who is Renan to even try? Damn, just to see you. You, being president of Brazil, man. Hold on. No, that's not it. No, man, how do you not know that? Neither this nor that. That's definitely not possible.
No flaw at all. Does he have hair? Mess it up.
No, but that's not the video I want either, guys. Look, am I confused or what? It's another video that the one where they even lifted up Chiquinho. Did you see it? Where Chiquinho even stood up, pounded the table and all that. I'll find this other one here. It's in several places here. Central, see if you can find it for me. Where they stand up and say, come on, come at me, baby. And then all hell broke loose. And there were only Bolsonarists there, only Bolsonarists. Look, because what's the issue? Flavio Bolsonaro, he's in a tough spot. Because the hardcore Bolsonarists, they're waiting for Flavio to go all out, to fight back. And Flavio lost his drive long ago. And the one taking on this stance is Renan Santos. So many Bolsonaro supporters are switching over to Renan Santos. And yesterday there was the debate, the one from Antagonista, and Renan Santos was the one who did the best. From their perspective, those present were Bolsonaro supporters, the market, and the elite. And Flavio Bolsonaro chickened out and didn't even show up. He showed up remotely. Then, Antagonista itself ran a poll and asked why Flavio didn't show up in person. The poll showed that Flavio was afraid. Look at this research here, see? I even mentioned it to you during the 8:30 live, but I didn't show it to you here. The poll they ran among their own crowd. Here it is, look now. The Papo Antagonista poll shows that the majority believes Flavio Bolsonaro missed the interview out of fear.
Well, let's see the result of our poll. Look here.
Look here, 65%. They said that Flavio Bolsonaro didn't show up because he was afraid of taking part in the debate. And think about it, guys. The debate was in a pro-Bolsonaro environment. Antagonista, everyone knows. It was in a right-wing and far-right environment. And Flavio didn't show up. He showed up remotely. And they themselves said he was afraid. And he did very poorly in the debate. And Renan, who stood out. So they're afraid now. It's not even Lula himself they're afraid of, because Lula already wins in the first and second rounds against Flavio Bolsonaro and everyone else. In fact, 2 polls came out today that confirm this situation. They're getting scared. Now it's Renan they're afraid of, who is drawing votes from Flavio. That's why Lula's strategy of not participating in the debates is interesting. Why? Because Lula isn't joining the debates. They'll come down hard and start attacking. So who will they target? Flavio. Lula won't even need to attack Flavio to realize how interesting this is. Lula won't even need to attack Flavio. Flavio will get attacked by the right and the far right along with Renan. Do you understand? This is very interesting. It's the crocodile that was created by the right wing, which is the far right. And the crocodile opened its big mouth against the right itself. And now the right has to do what? They'll have to put Flavio in his proper place. And Arthur Lira, with this move with Alfredo Gaspar, humiliated and is using Flavio Bolsonaro, who had no other option but to give in to Alfredo Gaspar. Oh, what do I think? I think it's not enough. Look, here's an interesting situation. This is a very important statement too. Is the right wing in Brazil finally waking up? Has the right wing realized the monster it created with Bolsonarism and the far right? That it's a problem for the right wing and a solution for the left? Is the right wing waking up, guys? Let's check out this very interesting statement from Representative Otoni de Paula.
I'm Representative Otoni de Paula. This is, without a doubt, one of the most important speeches of my life, so I ask you to watch until the end. As the Apostle Paul said, we can do nothing against the truth, but only for the truth itself. I am a man consumed by the truth and motivated to be truthful. I've decided to tell you why. In the event of continued polarization between Lula and Flavio Bolsonaro in a possible second round, I will not vote for Flavio Bolsonaro, and I will start the national movement called Right with Lula. Everyone knows that I support Governor Ronaldo Caiado. I have no doubt that he is the representative of the authentic and true Brazilian right, and historically the politician who has confronted the PT and Lula the most. I root for and work tirelessly so that Ronaldo Caiado makes it to the second round. That's why I have been exposing the shams and lies of Flavio Bolsonaro and his family. The 2-round election has a logic. It gives the voter the right to choose in the first round the candidate they believe is the best. And if your candidate doesn't make it to the second round, when you'll only have 2 choices, so it's up to the voter to choose the one they believe will be less harmful to the country. My choice is Lula. Someone I've never voted for in my entire life. It's simple. A candidate who does not honor the values of the true right, such as honesty, does not have the moral stature to represent us among a corrupt right. I would rather have Lula stay in power. I know I'm putting my re-election at risk. But I can't stop being honest with those who believe in me. My late father, Pastor Otoni de Paula, taught me to be a man. Would it be much easier for me not to tell you what I will do in a possible second round between Lula and Flavio Bolsonaro? And that way, I would have secured the few votes I might lose if you don't agree with me. I know my opponents, especially those among my brothers from the church. They will once again drag me into the public square to try to discredit me and say that I am serving the devil, the PT, and Lula. But with my head held high, I will continue to believe that all authority is established by God, and no matter who the president is, Brazil belongs to the Lord Jesus. As for my term and my political future, they are where they've always been, in God's hands. The one who put me in this office was the Lord, inclining the hearts of more than 158,000 people from the city and state of Rio de Janeiro to vote for me. And the one who will allow me to continue in this office will also be him, inclining your heart to vote for me. Thank you very much for your attention.
And I'll say more. If the right wing in Brazil were truly responsible, Republican, and Democratic, this right-wing movement with Lula is going to grow. And it would grow. For the simple reason that it's impossible to support Flavio Bolsonaro. If Paul Ventura makes it to the second round, it's impossible to stand with Flavio Bolsonaro. Especially because many things and many revelations will come out about the schemes that Flavio Bolsonaro has always been involved in. And Otoni de Paula, he's a former Bolsonaro supporter, we know that, but he woke up. And he had to wake up. And a large part of the right also needs to wake up. And that's happening. Smash the like button, like, comment, and share. This is Lula Tetra. Kisses, beautiful people.